Hal Jordan didn't like the way the stars looked here. They weren't stars at all, not really. Each point of light flickered like a candle guttering in the wind, dimming and swelling in uneven pulses, as if the whole of space were breathing. He floated in silence, emerald aura casting a faint glow against the void. His ring had stopped projecting the usual navigation charts the moment they'd crossed into this region. No coordinates, no maps, nothing but static where the stars should have been cataloged. The others hung nearby, their lights haloing them against the black. Kilowog, broad-shouldered and impatient, his ring arm folded across his chest. Arisia, younger but sharp-eyed, scanning the void. BG, tiny but restless, his voice always the first to break silence. And beyond them, two more lanterns Hal didn't know well, rookies pulled into this mission because of the signal. The distress call, that was what had dragged them out here. Hal replayed it in his head, the way he had a dozen times since it first reached them. A fragmented voice, stretched thin by interference. Help! Lanterns, it's feeding. Then static. Then nothing. The Guardians had claimed no such sector existed. Their eyes had flickered, just for a second, when Hal demanded answers. And then came the order, investigate. Kilowog's growl rumbled across the comm. This stink hole doesn't feel right. Ain't no stars act like this. BDG's ears twitched. Or maybe they ain't stars at all. Could be. Don't. Hal cut in, voice sharper than he meant. The tension rode his throat, pressed behind his teeth. He felt the wrongness in his chest, like the air pressure before a storm. Don't start guessing until we know. But his ring pulsed, once like a heartbeat not his own. It hadn't stopped doing that since they crossed the threshold into this place. Sector Null, if the whispers of the Guardians were true. Arisia's voice broke the silence, cautious. Al, I think the stars are moving. He turned. She was right. The stars weren't fixed. They drifted slowly, like dying embers caught in invisible currents. No pattern, no orbit, no system, just a restless wandering. His stomach twisted. He couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't watching the stars. The stars were watching them. The rookie spoke up, nervous, eager to be useful. One, a spindly alien with crystalline skin, said, maybe it's an optical distortion. Gravitational lensing, perhaps. A collapse. The other snapped back. No black hole does this. Look at the light. It's pulsing. That's not gravity. I'll tune them out. His ring was whispering again, faint threads of sound like static bleeding into words. Not English. Not any language he knew. But the tone carried weight command. His pulse jumped as the syllables pressed against the back of his skull. Want her come home. He shook his head hard. You hear that? Kilowog frowned. Hear what? The ring, Hal said, louder this time, almost defensive. It's talking. Arisia hesitated, eyes narrowing. Mine too. Not on commands. Something else. One by one, the others admitted it, except the rookies. Their faces showed only confusion. Either their rings weren't whispering, or they weren't ready to admit it. Hal's shoulders tensed. He couldn't trust silence in a place like this. Then, without warning, space tore open. A ripple spread across the void, folding light like water disturbed by a stone. And there, at the center, hung a shape so massive Hal's mind fought to process it. Not a planet, not a sun, a construct, a lantern, but impossibly old, impossibly vast. Its frame stretched longer than moons, ribs of metal and stone fused into a familiar silhouette. The outline of the core's own symbol, but twisted by time. The glow inside it was faint, a pulse that matched the rhythm his ring had been giving him. Arisia whispered, that can't be. Kilowog's curse was low and rough. What in the pit? Hal felt his chest seize. The rings were trembling now, vibrating so hard his knuckles ached. He couldn't stop staring. Every instinct told him to run, to fly backward until normal stars filled the sky again. But the distress signal, the voice, it's feeding. BDG's squeak cracked the silence. Lanterns, you all seeing what I'm seeing? The colossal lantern shifted. Not adrift, not orbit. Movement. Purpose. Hal's throat went dry. His rings surged again, the whisper breaking into clarity. Return to me. The rookies panicked. One bolted, emerald trail slicing into the black. The other shouted after them, voice shrill with fear. Hal opened his mouth to command them back, but his ring dimmed, just a fraction, just a flicker. And for the first time in his career as a lantern, he felt it. His will slipping, his light being taken. Hal's ring sputtered again, light faltering in an uneven pulse. He clenched his fist, forcing his will into it, but the energy resisted, sluggish like syrup instead of fire. The construct ahead dominated his vision. An ancient lantern, massive enough to eclipse a dozen planets. Its frame cracked, but still whole, suspended in the void like a monument to something older than the Guardians themselves. The rookie who had bolted vanished into the dark, their green trail snuffed out as if swallowed. No light remained. No sound. 1 second visible, the next erased. Damn it, Hal muttered, forcing breath past a tightening chest. We stick together. No one else breaks formation. Kilowog's deep voice rumbled, low and rough, trying for command but fraying at the edges. You got that, rookies? Stay in line. You run again, you won't even leave a scorch mark. The crystalline rookie looked pale, though Hal wasn't sure if pale meant anything for a species made of translucent mineral. Their voice cracked. What happened to him? You all saw, he just... Gone. B to G said, too fast, too sharp. Thing ate him whole. Ain't no other word for it. That's not what happened. Arisia snapped, her voice trembling beneath the anger. We don't know. Hal cut across them all, because the arguing felt like a crack in a dam. Focus. We came here for a distress call. That signal came from this sector, which means someone, or something, is alive out here. We find them, we get them out, and we leave. That's the job. But the job felt like a lie even as he said it. His ring throbbed again. The whispers were clearer now, curling inside his head like smoke. Lanterns, my lanterns, come home. The words pressed into his bones, a weight no willpower could shrug off. He swallowed hard. Arisia, scan the construct. She lifted her ring. The beam cut weakly across the dark, diffused, unfocused. I saw the look on her face before she even spoke. It's not giving me readings. No matter what I try, the data collapses. The ring keeps rerouting into error cycles. Her hand shook. Hal, I think it's overriding us. BGS ears flattened against his head. Overriding? You mean like a Guardian override? That ain't supposed to be possible. Kilowog's growl rolled through the comms. Shut it. Don't give it teeth if you don't know it's got him. But his shoulders were taut, his jaw set too tight. He was afraid too. I'll try to steady his own breathing. The construct loomed closer, though they hadn't moved. It was drawing them in. He could feel the drag, not physical, but gravitational in some other sense, a pull against the core of his will. The crystalline rookie muttered something in their native tongue, shards of sound clicking in panic, then translated in broken interlac. I don't feel right. My thoughts, they're not mine. Keep control, Hal barked. His own pulse hammered in his throat. He clenched his jaw, fighting the urge to listen to the whispers. They were almost gentle now, coaxing instead of commanding. You're not protectors. You are children. We gave you light. We could take it back. Hal's aura flickered again. The green shield around his body guttered, thin patches opening and closing across his chest and arms. He forced it solid, jaw tight, sweat chilling the back of his neck despite the vacuum. He tried to remind himself who he was. Test pilot, lantern, made flesh. He'd faced fear, death, gods, monsters. But this wasn't fear. This was erosion. His sense of self thinning, edges rubbed away grain by grain. Arisia's sharp intake of breath snapped him out of it. Al, look. The colossal lantern was shifting again. Not just drifting this time. Opening. The central eye, where the core's lanterns normally channeled their energy, dilated like a pupil. Inside was no light. Just endless dark, rimmed with faint green veins that pulsed in rhythm with their rings. From within the pupil came motion. Shapes. Hundreds. No, thousands. Hal's stomach dropped. Lanterns. Or what had once been lanterns. Bodies drifted out of the black, frozen and twisted, still glowing faintly with green light. Their rings clutched to skeletal fingers or fused into decayed bone. Some were ancient armor wrapped around husks of flesh. Others were little more than dust held in place by failing energy fields. And yet every ring still pulsed. Not bright, not strong, but alive. Kilowog swore, voice raw. "Those are, by the pit. Those are ours." Arisha's face hardened. No, they can't be. The Guardians would have told us. They didn't tell us squat. BDG snapped, fear sharp in his voice. They buried this whole sector, remember? Guess we know why. The crystalline rookie was trembling, voice cracking with terror. They never left. They've been here, feeding it. Hal's ring burned on his finger, a hot coil of emerald searing his skin. He wanted to rip it off, throw it into the dark. The whispers were louder now, layered voices overlapping. "You are echoes, copies. They gave you toys, not truth. We are the lantern. We are the source. Return." He forced himself to speak, louder than he felt. "Form up. Defensive perimeter. Don't look at them. Keep your focus on me." The husk lanterns moved. Their jaws opened, soundless screams spilling into the void, and their green lights guttered like dying stars. And then they surged, hundreds of corpses lunging toward them in a swarm. "Engage!" Hal shouted. His ring obeyed, barely. The beam he cast was weak, sluggish. It struck the nearest husk and tore it apart in a burst of dust and light. But the fragments didn't scatter. They flowed back together, reforming the shape, still clawing forward. Arisha cried out, her constructs fracturing midair. "I can't, my will, it's—" Kilowog roared, throwing up a wall of emerald plating. It held for a moment before the swarm pressed through it like it wasn't even there. He cursed, fists glowing as he fought them hand to hand, smashing husks apart only for them to reform again. BG darted through the chaos, constructs rapid fire, guns, blades, explosions, none of it slowing the horde. His small voice screamed through the comms. "Ain't no killin' what's already dead." Hal gritted his teeth, forcing his constructs harder. His ring pulsed violently, not obeying him, but fighting him. Every swing felt like pushing through wet cement. His vision swam with green static. The crystalline rookie screamed. Their aura collapsed in a blink, lights snuffed out. The husks swarmed them, tearing into crystal flesh, and their bodies shattered into shards that dissolved in the dark. Their ring shot upward, but before it could flee, the colossal construct pulsed, and the ring froze, locked in orbit around it, trapped. Hal's chest constricted. He couldn't breathe, not because of the vacuum, but because of what he'd just seen. Rings weren't being lost here. They were being taken back. Arisha's voice cracked in his ear. "Hal, we can't win this. We can't fight them." He wanted to deny it. He wanted to shout that they were lanterns, that could overcome anything. But his body told him the truth. His ring was not his own. His light was borrowed. And whatever that construct was, it had come to collect. The husks were closing in. Kilowog bellowed, smashing another corpse to dust. "What's the call, Jordan?" The question ripped through Hal's skull. Every nerve screamed to flee, to break formation like the rookie, to burn every ounce of willingness speed and get out. But the whispers twisted that thought too, curling sweet and inevitable. "You'll come home. All of you. You were never free." Hal forced the thought into words, voice hoarse, broken. "Fall back. Now." The order hurt worse than any wound. But he knew if they stayed, they'd all end as husks orbiting the lantern that hungers. They turned, streaks of emerald across the black. The swarm followed, and behind them, the colossal lantern pulsed once, like a heart, feeding. Hal Jordan's lungs burned, as though there were no air left in the universe. The green aura around his body stuttered and dimmed with every surge forward. Behind him, the void seethed with motion, thousands of husk lanterns trailing in a swarm, their faint emerald lights pulsing in the same rhythm as the colossal construct. One heartbeat, one command, one hunger. The whispers were no longer whispers. They were a chorus, pressed into his skull, filling every space thought should be. "Return. You are fragments. You are ours. Keep flying." Hal's voice cracked over the comms. His throat was dry, raw. "Don't look back, just move." Kilowog thundered, panting between words. "They ain't slowing, Jordan. They're right on our 6." Arisha's voice was ragged, breathless. "Hal, I can't. I can't hold my construct anymore." Her shield flickered out, and for a moment her aura thinned so much Hal thought she would vanish like the rookie. He reached out instinctively, pushing Will into her, his ring throwing a tether of green light between them. It wasn't strong, but it steadied her enough to keep going. The small shape of BDG darted ahead, his voice sharp and frantic. "We're not outrunning them. They're tied to that thing, and that thing ain't letting us leave." Hal wanted to deny it, but the truth was written in every pulse of his ring. The colossal lantern wasn't chasing them physically. It didn't need to. Its will reached through them, through the rings, dragging like invisible chains. Every meter forward felt heavier, as though gravity itself were thickening. His light sputtered against it, brittle as a candle flame in a hurricane. For a second, just 1 second, Hal's shield collapsed. The cold of the void bit into him, sharp as knives, and his vision tunneled. Then his ring flared back, searing his nerves, forcing air into his lungs though he wasn't breathing. He realized then, with sick clarity, he wasn't wearing the ring. The ring was wearing him. The construct pulsed again. Another rookie ring, this one from the crystalline lantern that had been taken, drifted past them, glowing faintly as it flew back toward the massive lantern. It didn't seek a new bearer. It returned to its master. Arisha saw it too. Her voice broke. "Al, what if this is what the Guardians wanted us to find?" The thought froze him mid-flight. He almost lost speed. No, the Guardians wouldn't. "Wouldn't what?" she snapped, voice shaking but furious. "Wouldn't lie. Wouldn't send us here knowing damn well what this thing is. They erased this sector, Hal. Erased it. You think they did that for our protection?" The words cut deeper than any wound. The Guardians had always held secrets. They spoke in riddles, withheld truths, moved lanterns like pieces on a board. But this, Hal's stomach twisted. He remembered the look in the Guardians' eyes when they'd ordered the investigation. Cold, flickering, almost pity. Kilowog grunted, smashing a husk away that had lunged too close. Its body burst apart into dust and green sparks, but then reformed, claws reaching. "Arguing about OA ain't gonna save us. We need a way out of here." BGS' small voice broke through the chaos. "Maybe we don't get out. Maybe the Guardians never meant for us to. Maybe they sent us here cause they knew, once this thing woke up, it'd want its toys back." I want to scream at him, to shut him up, but he couldn't deny it. Every pulse of the construct proved it. The rings weren't gifts. They weren't inventions. They were shackles, fragments torn from some ancient parasitic intelligence. And that intelligence was awake now. The husks closed in tighter. One slammed into Hal's shield, its decayed face pressed inches from his own. Its jaw unhinged in a silent scream, and the sound of it vibrated inside his skull, bypassing his ears. His ring dimmed at the contact, his aura thinning to near collapse. For a heartbeat, he felt himself slipping into it, his will draining, his mind unraveling, his body nothing but fuel for the hunger. He roared, pouring everything he had left into a construct, a blast wave of emerald fire. The husk vaporized in the glow, but even as the dust scattered, Hal knew it wasn't gone. None of them ever were. Arisha screamed, "Al, they're surrounding us." He looked ahead. The void had shifted. The husks weren't chasing anymore. They were herding, closing a circle around them, driving them back toward the colossal lantern. The dark pupil at its core dilated wider, green veins throbbing like arteries. The whispers thundered in unison. "You are lies. You are echoes. Return to truth. Return to us." Kilowog bellowed, rage and despair mixed. "We ain't making it, Jordan. You better have something up your sleeve, cause this is it." Hal's mind raced. Options collapsed as quickly as they came. They couldn't fight. They'd already proven that. They couldn't outrun it. The construct's pull was everywhere. There was only one chance: break the chain at its source. The ring seared against his skin as if it knew what he was thinking. He clenched his jaw until his teeth ached. "Listen to me," he shouted, voice raw. It wants the rings. It doesn't care about us. If we keep them, it'll never stop. The only way out is to cut off. Silence fell over the comms. Then Arisha's choked voice. You mean, remove them? Hal swallowed hard. Yes. BGS ears flattened. That's suicide, Jordan. We take these off, we're nothing but space dust. Kilowog's growl was low, bitter. He's right. That thing's eating us alive. Better to die free than feeded. The construct pulsed again, closer, hungrier. The husks swarmed, pressing in until emerald light filled every corner of vision. Hal's chest heaved. Fear clawed at him, but beneath it burned something harder. He tightened his fist, staring at the ring that had defined his life, his identity, his very will. And for the first time, he hated it. This isn't ours, he whispered. It never was. The husks lunged. Hal screamed, forcing his will outward one last time. Not into a weapon, but into rejection. His aura flared, blinding green, and he wrenched the ring from his finger. Pain tore through him as if he were ripping out his own heart. His shield collapsed instantly, the void slamming into him like a frozen ocean. His lungs seized. His vision blurred. But the construct hesitated. Just for a second. The husks froze mid-lunge, their lights dimming, as if stunned by the defiance. Arisha's horrified cry echoed in his ear. Ow! Kilowog roared. Do it! Drop your rings. Now! One by one, the others followed. Arisha ripped hers off with a sob, Kilowog with a guttural roar, BDG with a curse. Their auras blinked out, leaving only their small, fragile forms against the void. The colossal lantern pulsed, rage rolling through space like thunder. The husks shrieked silently, their bodies unraveling into green dust that whipped back toward the pupil. The chain snapped. Hal's vision collapsed into black. Cold filled him, heavier than death. For a moment, he thought it was over, just another corpse drifting in the void. But then light. Not green. White. A star flared on the edge of vision. A true star, untouched by the construct. Its gravity tugged weakly. The four of them drifted, weightless, powerless, alive only by chance or mercy. The construct receded, sealed behind the veil of the sector. Its whispers echoed faint and bitter. You cannot run. We are your truth. You will come home. Hal's body shook with the cold. His breath came shallow. His eyes fixed on the void where the construct had been. And for the first time in his life, he understood what the Guardians feared. The rings weren't symbols of willpower. They were bait. And the core weren't soldiers. They were livestock. The last thing Hal saw before darkness took him was the faint glimmer of OA's emblem on his chest, and he wondered if he'd ever wear it again, or if he'd already been wearing a lie his entire life.